Observation number 1, end of natural term of Umeme. The lease assignment agreement between Umeme Limited and the government of Uganda provided that at the end of 28th February 2025, the agreement comes to a natural expiry. Section 3.13 of the Umeme Lease and Assignment Agreement stipulates that from the end of the natural term until termination of this agreement, the company's obligation in respect of the operation and maintenance of the distribution system under privatization agreement shall be limited to using commercially responsible efforts to operate and distribute and distribution systems in accordance with a prudent utility practice, and to maintain the distribution system in its condition as of the end of the natural term. Notwithstanding anything to the contrary in this agreement, the company will have the right to stop performing all its obligations 30 days after the end of the natural term, except for those obligations that expressly survive termination, provided, however, that as of the date the company ceases performance of its obligation to operate and maintain the distribution system. As such obligations may be modified in accordance with Section 3.1, subsection D, UEDCL or its assignee will then have the immediate right to step in and take possession of the lease agreement, operate and maintain the leased assets, including collecting payments for electricity from retail consumers, and use the assigned interests and other rights, assets, or other rights provided further, notwithstanding UEDCL's possession of the leased assets, operations and maintenance of the leased assets, and the use of the assigned interests and other rights. UEDCL shall not transfer any means formally under the provisions and supervision of Umeme, including taking over all the capital investments. In order for UEDCL to maintain efficient continuity of what Umeme has been doing, there is need to avail UEDCL with adequate financing so that it is able to recruit and train human resource, maintain the already existing infrastructure, and clear all the outstanding liabilities that could have been inherited from Umeme. UEDCL informed the committee that UEDCL informs the committee that UEDCL requires capitalization worth $50 million for initial investment after Umeme has left, since the tariff approval by ERA should only enable them to fund operations and maintenance of inherited assets from Umeme. However, this amount is not yet secured. Therefore, failure to allocate this money implies that UEDCL will not be able to carry out any additional investments in the distribution of electricity in this country. Given that the Auditor General has not determined the final buyout amount, and considering the period remaining to come to the end of the lease and assignment agreement, the Auditor General expeditiously reconciles with ERA, UEDCL, and the Auditor General to determine the Umeme payout cost and submit it to Parliament to guide the approval of the loan request. Right Honourable Speaker, the constraint at the committee, and this tore us into two. Some members, actually majority of the members, were saying we could wait for the report of the Auditor General, that the auditor had promised that by 28th of February, they should be in position, by 28th of March, they should be in position to give this. When we had an interface with the Office of the Auditor General, a few days ago, they requested that they could be given 1 week up to Tuesday next week for them to be able to come up with a buyout figure. This constrained the committee members, and it constrained me personally as a chairperson. I tried to convince the members, and the members gave their position that given their observations and recommendations, the committee recommends that government approval to borrow up to euros of US dollars equivalent to $190,988,556 from Stanbic Bank for Umeme buyout be halted until the report of the Auditor General is presented to Parliament. I beg to move.
Honorable Chair, for Umeme to be here.
Right Honorable Speaker, after the natural expiry of the concession agreement, 30 days are given, and for which we are within the 30 days.
The 30 days
which ends on the 31st of March 2025, which is ideally about 9 days
from now.
Right.
So you want us to wait and approve it on 28th? How long does it take for you for finance to process a loan? Honorable members, let's put all this into consideration. One, are we ready to buy Umeme from? Then the other issue is the time aspect. We should be able to look at all that, those other issues. Yes, Richard.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Tebandeke, let's get the minority report. Let's get a minority report.
Minority report on the Committee of National Economy for a proposal to borrow up to US dollar 190,988,556 from Stanbic Bank for Umeme Limited buyout under Rule 200 of our Rules of Procedure. Right Honorable Speaker, I'm aware that any delay of the buyout of this loan costs the taxpayers' money interest to Umeme on an outstanding rate of 10% per annum for the period of 30 to 40 days after natural term, a 15% for 46 to 90 days, and a 20% for a period after 91 days, till government buys out the amount in full. However, Right Honorable Speaker, my areas of dissent are two. One is non-compliance with the constitutional provision, and the two is non-compliance with the rules of procedure of Parliament. My point of dissent, number one, non-compliance to the constitutional provision. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, Article 119, Clause 3 and 4 of our Constitution explains the establishment and the roles of the Office of the Attorney General. In this article, it is very clear that the Attorney General shall be the government's principal legal advisor, draw and peruse agreements, contracts, treaties, conventions, and documents, whatever have been called to the government. Right Honorable Speaker, in this very provision, the work of the Attorney General has been not defined. Additionally, Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, Article 163, Clause 3 and B explains the establishment of the Office of the Auditor General. in the article, the Auditor General is mandated, I think the Attorney General is here, where the law explains, uses the terminology shall, it is non-debatable. The Attorney General shall conduct financial, Auditor General shall conduct financial and value for money audits in respect for any project involving public fund. Right, Honorable Speaker and members, the money we are approving as a loan is not mine, neither is it yours, but for Ugandans as a public. Where the Auditor General, as a custodian, mandated to give us authenticity value for us to approve the loan, has not acquainted us with the report. I'm wondering, where are we getting the mandate to approve this loan? Right, Honorable Speaker and colleagues, this is, for this special request, the Auditor General's office requested the committee, when appeared, to be given a week to have a report ready, establishing clear amount that Umeme buyout is amounting to. Right, Honorable Speaker, a week from now may not even take the whole time for the Auditor General to come up with a report. And where delays have been accrued by his own making, why should this House carry on the cross at the expense of the reasons that are not so clear and known? Right, Honorable Speaker and colleagues, approving this loan request without the Auditor General's office clearance makes us proceed arguably. Whereas the request of the $190 million in the recent supplementary request, Parliament approved the same. The CEO of ERA, reports the CEO of ERA, the report of the CEO of ERA quoted $127 million for recoveries. I feel there is an coordination between Umeme and the Auditor General and the Minister of Finance that expect the contrasting amount for the buyout. Right, Honorable Speaker, there are two contrasting figures that are required for the buyout. There is $190 million and the $127 million. The two figures are contrasting, much as the committee agreed that should only approve in exclusion, where $127 million can be given authority to be borrowed, pending the $190 million. A question of contrast is one. What if the Auditor General's report comes out tomorrow and the figure is below the 127? Or when the figure is above the $190 million?
Honorable members, I don't know whether, because there was a letter which was written, and the letter is here. It was laid, it is part of the documents of this House, that in the circumstance that the buyout is less than the 190, what is only going to be disbursed will only be the amount that has been approved by the Auditor General.
Honorable, I'm at pain as a committee member when the colleague who is presenting the minority report spent the whole time like us in the committee meeting, and we decided to stop everything until we get the report, the Auditor General's report. Is here saying that the committee accepted to pass the 127 contrary to the 190, yet the committee didn't pass any figure. Because any other information, the committee was not privy to any other information, including right honorable now that you have given us that letter, which is saying that if the Auditor General comes up with a report saying the figure is 150, they will only disburse 150. Right honorable, the committee was not privy to that letter. So I'm wondering whether the
That's
colleague
why
is-
I asked them to lay it on table. It's okay, let the member finish his report.
Honorable Speaker, this House would benefit from the member who is submitting on minority report if there was critical points of dissent. This is the first time that we are getting one report submitted twice. One is just either for emphasis, he could have told us that this is for emphasis. So far, whatever the honorable member has said can only help in emphasizing the committee main report. Can the honorable member from Bali be clear to this House? Is he proceeding which from Bali? Right, Honorable Speaker, are we proceeding well when the same report is split into two?
Emphasis of what was in the other report or what?
To Right Honorable Speaker, the majority report of the committee, there is nothing like a matter of constitutionalism, and the law has not been quoted. Right Honorable Speaker,
Honorable,
I have a point of dissent.
you can't say there is no matter of constitutionalism. You are just a lot of issues. On constitutional issues, you don't bring learning in the House. Let's learn from out there. Anyway, honorable member, you're raising matters that have been raised on the major report. So can you conclude with your...
I have a point on non-compliance with the rules of procedure of this parliament. Right Honorable Speaker.
Which rule?
Right Honorable Speaker, allow me go through since I'm presenting. Then I'm going to quote the rule. But for your point of consumption, Rule 155, you can keep on going through as I present. Right Honorable Speaker, this House is...
There is an order.
For your guidance, there is a member who promised to box someone, but I'm not of such
go
a caliber.
ahead.
Right Honorable Speaker, in approving this loan, other subsequent requests by the ministry responsible for finance, our hands as Parliament remained tied in reference to Rule 155, Part 5, and Rule 155, Part 5B of the Rules of Procedure, and also Rule 155, 5K of the Rules of Procedure, which mandates this House, before approving any loan, must have a thorough assessment
let's move
for the
slowly.
loan performance.
Let's move slowly. Rule 155, 5. Honorable Katuntu.
Benefit from Honorable Tibandeke on how Rule 55 is being breached, then I can be of assistance.
Doing law. Please go ahead. Finish. You finish.
Speaker, the committee has not carried out any oversight to establish whether the performance of UMEME is fit in the previous loans that have always been approved by this House. And there is no clear clarity whether the status quo of UMEME that ECDL wants to take over, the assets which have been mentioned are not known and clear to this House and the committee in processing the report. Therefore, I recommend as follows, Right Honorable Speaker. I do recommend that the House gives the committee ample time to scrutinize this loan request in its totality. In reference to government through the Office of the Attorney General reviews and wipes off the interest accrued to UMEME in case the buyout has delayed.
Thank you.
I request more that the Office of the Auditor General, in compliance with the report to the majority, is given enough time per his request so that it can give us authenticity on the actual figure that is required to buy out this loan. Right Honorable Speaker, the Committee on National Economy is required to visit all the projects under UMEME before passing out this loan, buyout loan, to establish whether those projects do exist. Right Honorable Speaker, there are also other agencies that were contracted privately to work under UMEME, and those agencies have not been brought on board. The layout table from the main the report of the majority committee has not listed all the agencies that were contracted under UMEME. For instance, IMAT Technical Service, where I got even a petition, they wanted to access your office, but they have not yet. So all those dilemmas need to be harmonized and get to know exactly what are we passing and which buyout are we going to buy. Lastly, Right Honorable Speaker, UMEME is listed as a company where Ugandans who own share in UMEME should also be briefed on the status of their shares. How are they going to access their shares? Are they considered by this loan, or we shall get some other time and pass another loan in this guise of the same?
Thank you.
I beg to submit.
Thank you. Thank you.
I thank you for recognizing that traditions and customs are things Africans cannot trade for anything. So people who bring proposals that undermine these values must reflect on them. I'm here as a member of the National Committee to highlight some key issues I've departed on. Madam Speaker, you will agree with me. I just got this document here. It may not have reflected my true intention, but I want to say the majority committee has made a summary recommendation on why this loan should be given a little bit of time so that the underlying issues can be reflected. For example, in the leasing and the assignment agreement, there's an account called the escrow account on which UMEME has been paying rent and other incomes and withdrawing. To date, nobody in this country knows what that account is holding. And yet this same agreement provides that if there are any obligations, they can be paid from that account. This is something the Auditor General is supposed to cater for. Two, Madam Speaker, there's what we call liquidity facility in the leasing and license agreement. What that facility does is, if government is not able to meet any obligations to any of her obligations to UMEME, the guarantee under that facility can actually be invoked. Up to now, we cannot understand why we have chosen to do borrowing when that option.
We're in which page?
I'm on page 2, which talks about the compliance of this law with this borrowing with our laws and the agreements we have executed.
So?
And I did give a disclaimer that I may not go to the details, but I wanted to highlight things that the Attorney General could respond to. Because one of the opportunities we missed was to engage the Attorney General. You are aware, Article 119 mandates that the Attorney General must be part of every agreement government enters into. And before any loan is passed by this House, we must have been, as a committee, satisfied that the Attorney General has reviewed those conditions and is in agreement.
Okay.
Honorable members, one of the conditions in this agreement is that we must waive our immunity. This agreement, the way I've read it, it erodes our sovereignty. Why? We are being subjected to the laws of English laws. Because I have the draft agreement here, I will lay them. That if we have disputes, we will resolve them in London. That undermines Article 129, which sets up our courts. That undermines the supremacy of our laws. Article 2.2 of our Constitution makes our laws very supreme. And if we waive these obligations, it means we have waived our sovereignty. Madam Speaker, one of the things I would expect the Minister of Energy to respond to, which we did not have the opportunity for, is UECDL's takeover readiness. Can I make my submission? Up to now, we are going to inherit.
Can you respect the member?
We are going to inherit assets from Umeme, but we have no asset register. We don't know what we are paying for. Who can answer that question affirmatively?
They will answer.
What is the government of Uganda paying for, and where are these assets? What are the liabilities of Umeme? Are there people they dealt with that we are supposed to pay? Do they have tax obligations? They are supposed to be environmental compliance issues that should be reported on. They are nowhere. So what if these liabilities come to government? Who shall we point to? Madam Speaker, I have a letter, I have a submission from the Ministry of Finance. One of it is what we call the mandate letter. This mandate letter shows what the lenders are willing to offer us. If you read the figures here, it's talking about 225. That is what they committed to give us. And yet Minister is bringing a proposal for 190. Whose figure is the truthful one? If we are borrowing 190, where is the offer letter for that borrowing from any bank? These are things we must be able to reconcile. Madam Speaker, if you could just allow me conclude. Our laws say anybody who makes taxes, who earns income in this country must pay tax. The conditions in this agreement, which I would expect the Attorney General to respond to, they waive the tax obligations on the lenders. Why? And what is the procedure for waiving tax obligation? This is what I invite the House to pay attention to before you approve any law.
Thank you. Thank you.
Not only that, if I could... Madam Speaker, I want to lay on record these documents, but before I lay them, I have read the amendments that were submitted to the committee by the Ministry of Finance.
No, the documents have been laid by the chairperson.
They have not laid any document, and if I'm laying contrary one, the record must be able to capture. Madam Speaker, most importantly, I have an amendment of the leasing and assignment agreement. And on that agreement, there was an investment by government of Uganda using a loan from African Development Bank. And that investment is being claimed by Umeme as unrecovered. Why should we have been investing in substations through loans. We have been building lines. Why should someone come and claim this thing as the investment, and you want this process to be rubber stamped without Auditor General doing good work? So today, this country must watch whether they have elected MPs to come and represent their interests here, or they are working in somebody's interest.
Stop it.
Madam Speaker.
Honorable members. No. Yes, Honorable Kwang.
I think I'm correct because I have those minute extras. Because there are people we charge with responsibility, they should have done that work for us incrementally until now we would have known these are the figures. Why that information is important is
And you'll find, Minister, it may not be only you, it can also be all of us, even in Parliament, Auditor General, everybody. It is not one single person sleeping on the job. But we knew very well that there was going to be a buyout of this institution. So why didn't we do it?
I want to inform the Attorney General that by the grace of God, I've been here a little longer, and I have information that in 2011, this House actually resolved that this Omeme deal must be terminated. And government said then it was very expensive. So when the president says this thing must not be renewed, common sense would tell you that that he doesn't want to go ahead with it. And it doesn't work for the...
Honorable, you're not parliamentary.
Okay, I withdraw that statement. Let it be extracted on the record of Parliament. Okay, those who work for the people of Uganda would have sensed that if we are not moving ahead with this thing, it means it is going to end. How was it provided for? How was the ending provided for? They would have now done the right thing, which they delayed to do. So, Madam Speaker, I now want to lay the record of the letter of Auditor General on floor of this Parliament, and Auditor General has highlighted things he must do fast before this approval is done. And here I lay the letter. Whoever disregards it will pay attention to it later. I have a letter here written by ERA. ERA said, ERA is the Electricity Regulatory Authority, the people who must approve of every investment first, not the minister, not the Attorney General, not anybody, not even the Minister of Defense. It has to be ERA, because they are they have said the only amount of money you can pay Omeme, and they have verified the assets for, that if you go to that place, the asset will exist. That's why I was insisting the minister gives us asset register. They have said what we can pay Omeme can only be $127 million. And the letter is here.
Honorable Guzule, I want you to distinguish between a payout plus a borrowing. And what you're raising on the amount is answered with a letter, a commitment which was given by Ministry of Finance. Yes, Tony? You're going to bring the procedure matter. Don't worry, Sech. We agreed that before payment of any money to Omeme, it will be subjected to an audit. The figures from ERA will be subjected to an audit, and it is only the amount that the Auditor General approves is what will be paid to Omeme. Yes, there's a procedure matter.
Right, Honourable Speaker, I've been listening in, and I find that we are aberrating from the well laid down foundations of this House. When submission after submission is in breach of Rule 80, 1, 2, and 3 of our Rules of Procedure, we are proceeding in a manner that is so strange that I've never met and witnessed in this House. We are borrowing. I had other issues to raise then, like particularly where the Attorney General waived the tax obligations out of this 190 when the taxpayers down there.
You will have to answer that.
But for this particular one, Right Honourable Speaker, to proceed by way of anticipation and to commit Ugandans and to say in future when this is realized, then we shall pay this. I find it extremely frappe. I'll take it, Honorable Semjo.
The information I want to give you here, the same government convinced us, some of us refused, when they came here waiving the same deadlines for Magola's factory. We said, do not pay any money until you have acquired shares in that factory. And that was the condition that was given by this parliament. Immediately the parliament passed, they went ahead and paid. Let him bring here, he committed, let him bring here a share certificate from that factory.
I commit to bring here the documents showing that government has an interest in that factory.
Thank you.
Yes, I commit to bring documents.
I am talking about the day you paid.
Honorable Sachko, you
The matter has been raised to me, and I am here. And Right Honorable Speaker, I am committing to bring documents here that to prove that government has shares in that factory, in that company.
You start with the day of payment, that I paid this day and the certificate we acquired on this day. That is the contention. You first paid and then started negotiating because you do not even know the value of the company.
Honorable.
So which part should I answer, Right Honorable Speaker?
No, it's just search.
Right, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable members, can we have some order?
Right, Honorable Speaker. The discrepancy between 120 to 190 million US dollars is too huge for us to handle in a proper way. Can we respect our rules and then they will guide us at the exact amount when it is due, well audited, then we'll proceed. Right, Honorable Speaker, I'll rise to support, but let us really be fair to ourselves and the country.
Thank you.
Two things. One, we pressed and said government slept on the job. This was seen coming. The Attorney General stood up and said that government could not have come earlier. I disagree with that because today is 20th. Why are you coming on the 20th? Why are you not coming on 30th? Which law says you could not have come several months earlier? Because we knew that 31st March was coming. You didn't get to know about it last week. So it is wrong, Attorney General, for you to say government could not have come earlier. No, we should have begun to process all of these matters, especially because there are critical components. For example, the Auditor General, on behalf of government and on our behalf, because the Auditor General is part of Parliament, was meant to do a thorough audit so that informs us to know what is due to Umeme in exactness. But that has not happened. That's why we're saying we should have begun this whole process a lot earlier. Just hold on. You see, when you read the law, and Attorney General, I would like that we excogitate the law a little bit here. Section 36, subsection 5 of the Public Finance Management Act provides for how loans get to be processed by Parliament. The only exceptions are two, among others actually. One, government securities. The other is where government is managing a monetary policy question. The Minister of Finance deals with that without having to come here. But for such a loan, Parliament has got to approve in exactness. I want to be helped to understand. I have seen that commitment letter, which has been tabled here. Minister of Finance is saying that let's pass 190.9 million US dollars, assuming it is discovered that what is due to Umeme is 150 million US dollars. As an example, you'll only give them 150. I don't know what you'll do with the other. Does that then not mean that the Minister of Finance has taken over our responsibility as Parliament to approve? Because we are meant to approve loans in exact terms. What happens if it is more than 190? So you cannot say that Parliament passed 190, then I will discover, if it is less, I'll give them the less. Then you will be the one appropriating and not Parliament. And that's why we should have begun these processes earlier so that we know in exact terms which is which. Finally, Right Honorable Speaker, I honestly, I'm hard pressed to believe the Minister of Finance here when he commits to us that you give me the 190. If I discover I'm meant to give them less, I'll only give them that part. Because, and examples have been given, this same minister has promised us here are not fulfilled. I went to Day Biopharma with colleagues. Which government promised us here? You pass the money. We are going to make sure the MOU is in place, the share certificate is in place, and so on. You went and you gave them money before availing the MOU and the share certificate. When we went there, after they had already received the money, they said we are still working on the MOU. So you told us a lie here. You did not fulfill your commitment. When you said, give me the money, I'll hold on to it until we make sure the MOU is in place. They received the money before the MOU is in place. Why should you believe you now? When you say, give me the entire 190. If I discover what is due to Umeme is less, I'll only give them that bit. We don't trust you anymore.
No, but we need to learn to trust ourselves. Okay, Rod?
And I hadn't finished. So having established that the committee has not done a cost-benefit analysis, because everything been talked about, penalties, what is just speculation. Why? They have not told us the other story, side of the story.
It is not speculation because it is in the agreement.
Okay, let's say it's in the agreement. When they do cost-benefit analysis, they are supposed to give us the opportunity cost. If we don't pursue that line, what will be the cost to Uganda? If we ask the Attorney General to go and talk to Umeme, you give us maybe a month or two within which we will resolve, because amendment is provided for. And those are all issues I'd invited the Attorney General to respond to, including exploring why we cannot pursue the liquidity facility. Lastly, Madam Speaker, I want to move this House. I want to move a motion without notice that you reject this request until these matters are reconciled. And then the minister comes with something which is well packaged so that we do not look ugly as a House. I beg to, okay, you can amend because I'm moving that we reject the request. If you want to amend
Honorable Kirol.
Colleagues, in circumstances like this, we need to listen to each other. Sure, the landed Attorney General knows that that concession was badly negotiated. It is basic. All these problems you are seeing is because of bad negotiation. And the reason can only be two: incompetence or bad manners, or both. Bad manners is also about collusion or corruption. But we are committed to an agreement. We are committed to an agreement. And once you get committed to an agreement, lawyers call it legal obligations. We have legal obligations. And we need to examine the obligation we have under that very unfair agreement. If we breach those obligations, what happens? That is the opportunity cost I think Oguzili was talking about. What is the consequences of us breaching the legal obligations of that agreement? Because the agreement is bad. Don't even bother yourself to... We have debated this, and indeed we debated it when the both committee brought that their report. We debated this in detail. In detail. And between now and the last day, we have how many days? 9 days, less than 10 days, where we must sort out all this mess. Is it possible to sort out this mess in the 9 days? And two, it is not a wish, but we are talking about professional sorting out the mess. Whether it is possible for the Auditor General to bring a report here on the 28th. Did he ask up 28th? 28th, and we will have 2 days within which the Minister of Finance.
Honorable Katuntu, 28th will be a Saturday, a Friday. 29th will be a Saturday. 30th will be a Sunday.
So really, we have no time. And to me, and I really implore upon you, colleagues, let us look at the consequences of the decision we are about to make. To the people of Uganda, the people of Uganda got a road deal. Are we going to continue in that road deal? Are we going to continue wasting good money? It is not reasonable on our part. We must cut our losses and now. We must cut our losses and now. And let the minister tell us, actually the chairman of the committee, in figures, if we don't perform our obligation according to the contract by 30th, the first payment, what percentage do we talk about?
10%.
10%. And the 10% of the worst case scenario is $19 million. $19 million. We are not joking with small money. And we cannot be emotional when we are talking about serious public issues. 19 million. I'll take the information.
Thank you.
So the first is 10%, and it is incremental. And the worst case scenario is $19 million. Why are we paying the $19 million? Because we are blaming people who have sat on their job. And because they have sat on their job, the taxpayer pays $19 million is close to 35 billion shillings. Colleagues, I think...
Honorable colleagues, please listen.
Actually, it's more than 35 billion. So to me, it comes almost 70 billion. Almost 70 billion. And that's the sort of money we are talking about. Colleagues, we now need to see what can we do seriously about people who didn't do their job or who did their job badly. That's what we should be looking at. As far as the contract is concerned, I thought our rules are very clear when somebody is speaking.
Yes.
I am a little bit informed, Honorable Otala, please. And I'm sure you know I'm informed. So, colleagues, the anger we should direct it to the correct people. And we can fold it up. We can really fold it up. Who did what? Who sat on what? And we can take any decision to have those people account. But as far as the contracts are concerned, let us not breach the contract deliberately, knowing the consequences. I thank you, Right Honorable.
Honorable Mutembule.
The loan, and we disregard the committee report which has been brought to this House. Thank you.
Is the motion seconded? Seconded by Faith, by Max, by Ogwang, by Okiror, by Oboth, by Okumu, by Ayo, Dr. Mushemesa, Ibanda, Kilak.
Madam Speaker, there is no motion. He has just said we support.
He put a motion. That you didn't finish your motion. He finished the motion. You're only being biased. You repeat it.
The motion is that we support the initial motion put on the table by the Minister of Finance, and we disregard the committee report so that we process the loan and we pass it.
And it is still seconded by both passes Honorable Internal Affairs, Okumu, Alanyo, Ibanda, Apoloto, Ochwa, Shema, Lira, Apache, Max, Arua, Noah. Honorable members, Orone, Joan, Mariam, Kumi Municipality, Susan, Dr. Pear, Nekesa. Honorable members, there is also Nabila Tuk. So I am still putting the question. Was there no motion? Attorney General, was there no motion?
That they support the motion by the minister to approve the loan and disregard the report. That's the motion I had.
Are you on a motion?
Yes. Madam Speaker.
Yes.
I move that the motion. I move, Right Honourable Speaker, I move that the question be put on the motion by the minister in regards to the loan amount which has been brought to the House. A motion which is a motion to borrow up to euro equivalent of US dollars 190,988,566 from Stanbic Bank for the Omeme Limited buyout. Thank you.
Seconded. Ogwang, honorable members, I put a question at the motion for a resolution of Parliament to authorize government to borrow up to euros equivalent of USD 190,998,556 from Stanbic Bank for the Umeme Limited buyout be approved by this House with amendments. With the amendments, those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it. Next.